Welcome. Our webinar today is about training keys. It's just the facts about training keys. The agenda that we're going to cover is to talk about what the different types of training keys are, how each key is used, how each key is created, how keys themselves expire, and then also the length of content availability to the user and how that is determined. We have 4 different types of training keys. 2 are for class enrollments and 2 are for self-paced training. And the first type is the enrollment training key. This is used for instructor-led training. And the way it is used is you will distribute a unique key to each user so that they can enroll into the class. An event key is very similar. It is also for instructor-led training, but in this case, instead of distributing unique keys to each user, you have one single key that all the users use to enroll into a class. The training key, and this is a little more generic in terms of its name, because it was the first key that we ever had, and there was no need to differentiate it. The training key is for self-paced training, and with this you distribute a unique key to individuals, and they are able to access a single course to take as a course assignment. Then the subscription key is also for self-paced training, and this one gets a little more complicated. You can distribute either unique keys to individuals, or you can set it up so that you distribute a single key to multiple users, and with those keys they're given access to all the courses in a subscription. So let's talk also about how you create the keys and how they get used. So for an enrollment key, we'll start at the top. For an enrollment key, these are one-to-one. So if one key is used by one user for an enrollment into a single class. And to create this, let's look at a class. To create this, you have to have created a class and saved it. And after you save the class, you'll come up to the top links at the bar at the top of the class, and you'll click on Training Keys. From here, you're able to generate keys. So you'll click on Generate Keys, and you can see here that it asks how many keys you want to generate, and it gives you a limit how many keys can be created by you. This is based on the maximum capacity of the class and how many enrollments have already been put into the class. So at this point I can create up to 20 keys. So I would enter in my 20, click OK, and then my training keys will show down here as they're all generated by the system. An event key is a one-to-many key. A single key is used by all the users to enroll into a single class up to the maximum capacity of that class. Again, let's look at a class. This one is for our event training key. I'm going to edit it. You can input the event training key when you're creating the class. You can come back later and edit it. You can also go to your organization preferences and set up that an event training key is automatically added each time a class is created. Let's go to Edit, and you can see here I have the truncated view of the Create Class showing, or Edit Class. So I'm going to go over here to Show Advanced Settings and click on the link and scroll down a bit. And here at the bottom of the basic information section, we have Allow Automatic Enrollment using Event Training Key. When I check that, it's automatically going to come up with a unique training key for me. If I don't like that key, I can generate a new key. That's up to you to do. Or you can even type in a key And as long as it's unique and has never been used by your organization, it will allow you to use that. Okay. The training key for course assignments is a one-to-one relationship as well. A key gives one user access to a single course as a course assignment, and the training key pool is how we create these and then generate keys. Let's look at a training key pool when we're creating it. I'm going to copy this because this is what I want for my name. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to pick a course, a single course. And you can see after I picked the course, it input my organization name and the name of the course. We're going to change that though. And once I have input the name, we're going to talk about these different options down here a little bit later. We'll go to the Training Keys tab, and you have 3 different ways that you can enter training keys for a training key pool. The first one, and it's available for most all training keys, is just a empty field here, and you can type in the key that you want. And you can use that, and again, it has to be unique. You can add multiple training keys, and this is used by some organizations that we have that are handing out the keys on paper within courseware. So they'll go in, and since the user has to type in the key, they want to make sure they eliminate things that could be confusing, like a 1 and an I, or a 0 and an O. So they'll go through and put these into Excel, have it generate a bunch of different keys for them, and then they'll eliminate any kind of thing they find confusing. They'll paste them in here, and that will then generate the keys for them. And we also have the Generate Keys option, and at this point it's not going to limit how many keys you generate. And remember, you're not charged anything for generating any kind of key at any time, and we'll get to billing a little bit later. So I could input again 20 keys or just 1, and it will create the keys and show them right down here. Okay. The last type of key again is a subscription key. And this is the one that allows you to either have a one-to-one relationship, so one key is given to a user and they can create a subscription assignment, or you can use one key and give it to multiple users and create a subscription assignment. So let's go and take a look at creating subscription keys. From Site Administration, there is a Training Keys tile, and this is where you would go to create a training key pool. You can also come here to create subscription keys and find them, either one, the pools or the subscription keys. You can also start from a subscription profile and create your subscription keys. And that's what I chose to do here, so it automatically put my subscription profile name in. Well, we're going to talk about maximum number of uses per key. I said you could either have it 1 key per 1 user, or you could have a number of users using the same key, and this is where that's set, maximum number of uses per key. If I leave it blank, there's only going to be 1 use per key. If I decide I have a company that is going to use subscriptions and they know they have 15 people and I only want to give them 1 key, I would put in 15 here, and I would generate 1 key when it comes up here. I would generate 1 key. Alternately, I may want to give 15 people different keys, so at that point I would put in maximum number of uses per key is 1, and I would generate 15 keys. So you have the choice of which way this is used. Let's talk about the expiration of the key. So a key has a certain amount of time that it can be redeemed by a user. And this is determined by what kind of key it is, and some of them you can control and others you can't. The first type of key we're going to talk about is the enrollment training key, and this is a key that can be redeemed by the user from the time that the class has been created and the training keys have been created through when the class begins and during the whole time the class is running. And that ends on the end date and time of the class. So once the class is over, the key can no longer be redeemed. The event training key has 2 time periods it can be redeemed within. It can be redeemed the same way as the enrollment key, where it can be redeemed as soon as the user has it, through when the class is started, all the way while the class is running, up until the end date and time of the class. Or you can have the redemption continue after the class ends, all the way through the post-class lab access for the class, which is normally 180 days. Let's take a look at where you set that. So we're back on the Event Training Keys class, and when I set up the training key, I have 2 options. The first one is automatically set by default, and this is that the training key can be redeemed up until the event ends. You can, in fact, set it to redeem after the event ends, and this is only as long as the post-class lab access. You may be wondering why someone might want to do this, and that can be because they have a instructor who has recorded their class sessions, and then either the user wanted to be in that class, or it was necessary for them to have the same training as the people in the class. So they could then be given the event training key, and after the class is over, they can still redeem it. Now, the access to the labs is 180 days, usually, after the class ends. So it starts the countdown from the class end date. And if I give the key out to someone 10 days after the class has ended, they're only going to have 170 days access to the class labs. For our training keys for course assignments, a key can be redeemed by a user to create a course assignment while the training key pool is active. And this is from the starts and expiration dates on the pool. Let's take a look at that. We're back on the Create Training Key Pool page. And I have a starts and expires dates here on my key pool. And by default, it is going to start on the day that I create it and end a year from now. I do not have to maintain those dates. I can change them. Maybe I want the key pool to be active as of August 1st, so I can change that date. I can also change this expires date out to whenever I want. I can make it so it essentially never expires, or I can have it expire in 2 weeks because I expect everybody to have redeemed their key within 2 weeks. So that's up to you, but the keys, if I try to redeem a key today from this pool, because it's July still, then I would get that the key was not valid. And if I tried to redeem it after the key pool is expired, again, the key will be invalid. So keys can only be redeemed while the training key pool is active. And again, our last one is the subscription key. A key can be redeemed by the user to create a subscription based on the expires date that's set when the keys are created. Let's take a look at that as well. Back on the Create Subscription Keys page, and you'll see I have an expires date field right here. If I leave it blank, then my keys will never expire. They can be redeemed at any time from the time they're distributed till whenever the person chooses to redeem it. but you can also set an expiration date so that they have a limited amount of time. And this is specific to whichever keys you're creating right now. The next thing we're going to talk about is the expiration of a user's access to the content. So there's a certain time period that they have access to redeem the key to create the content, and then the content itself has an expiration as well. So for an enrollment key and for the event key, it's the same. It's just like any enrollment that for any class, that the access to the class labs and content is normally available for 180 days after the class end date. For a training key, there is a content availability field that controls the length of access to the course assignment up to the course assignment's length. So let us take a look at that. Here we are back on the Create Training Key pool page. And you'll see we have a content, down here we have a content availability field. And by default, it is set to 60 days. Normally, content is on a course is available for 180 days. Some organizations and some courses do have different timing. You can change this, for instance, up to 180 days. So the person, once they have created that course assignment, from that day of creation, they'll have 180 days access. If I try to go over 180 days to give them access, it's going to not let me do that if the course is in fact set for 180 days. It will just default down to 180, but you can set it for shorter than 180 days and it will take to that. You'll notice also that there's a checkbox down here to make the keys available to everyone using this URL. You can set or disable it. This is for organizations that have multiple organizations beneath them. The way the training keys originally worked was that only users that belong to the same organization that the key pool is created in could redeem it, but we've extended that so that you can choose to have any organization that uses the same URL to be able to redeem them. So I don't have to have all of my users belonging to a single organization in order for them to be able to redeem a training key pool. And last but not least, the subscription key. The subscription key is set by the subscription profile, the duration on the subscription profile. So let's take a look. I can take a look at the Create Subscription Keys page, and there isn't anything on here that determines the duration that the user will have access to that content. This is all set on the subscription profile. When I come into the subscription profile, it is just a template so that everybody who's assigned the subscription gets the same experience. They get the same courses, they get the same duration. So here at the duration field is where the content availability is set. And we will talk a little bit more about setting that in a minute. As promised, we're going to take a moment and talk about billing. Enrollment and event keys are billed the same way, and they're billed the same way as any enrollment. Any student that is at an enrollment status of enrolled when the class begins is going to be billed. For training keys, anytime a course assignment is created, whether or not it's ever started or completed, you are billed based on the creation of that course assignment. And the subscription works the same way. You have multiple courses within a subscription, and if a student starts that course, it creates a course assignment, and you're billed for that course assignment. So you are billed per course assignment. If they take one out of the subscription, that's all you're billed for. If they take every one of them, then you're billed for every one of them. Okay, now subscriptions, right? When you're setting up a subscription and the access length, the duration that was set on the subscription profile, here on the subscription training keys profile, by default, they set the subscription duration to 365 days. You're going to want to consider how long the access to the courses in the subscription actually are. So if each of my courses has a duration of 180 days and my subscription access duration is 365 days, that means that as a student, I can go in and on the first day of my 1-year course subscription assignment, maybe I open a ABC course, and then I can take it and retake it for 6 months without any, or 180 days without any additional charges to you. It expires at 180 days. So in the 7th month of my subscription assignment, if I decide, hey, you know what, I want to take that course again, and I go and start the course again, it will create a new course assignment for me, and you'll be billed a second time for the same course. So if you're considering how long your courses have in terms of an assignment, which is normally 180 days, you may not want to ever extend your subscription profile duration beyond 180 days. If as a student on the last day of my subscription assignment, I start a course, I still have 180 days access to that course, even though I don't have access to my subscription any longer. So anything from the day I create it, no matter what day, it's going to be 180 days access. It's not going to stop when the subscription assignment stops. So if you do not want to get charged multiple times for a course, don't make the subscriptions access longer than your course assignments can be. Course assignments created from a subscriptions are still active after the subscription expires, so that doesn't affect it. Anything else we want to be aware of? On event training keys, you want to make sure the maximum capacity for the class is set. Let's take a look. Here we are back on the event training key class, and I have my training key set up, my event training key set up, and we'll set it so it can only be redeemed until the event ends. Up here is the maximum students that can be enrolled in the class. This is the only thing that is keeping a lid on how many students can enroll. If I know that I only have 8 students coming to this class, I want to change this down to 8 rather than 20, because anybody can redeem the key. And if I'm not the most honest student who's attending the class and I decide to give out the key to 12 of my best friends, they could have, they can use that key and you would be charged for their enrollments. So you want to set the maximum students to the number of users you're expecting so that people cannot redeem the key without you won't get charged for more people. Another thing to be aware of is that sometimes students use the key more than once. So they come in, they redeem a key, they create their user account, and they're in the class. For some reason, they get bumped out or have closed the window, and they think, aha, I'll go back and I'll use the key again, and I'll get back into the class. When they use the key again, they have to create a new user account with a new email address because the one that they have already exists. And so some of them will do this and they will be enrolled a second time and using up one of your spaces. Before you, or when you hand out the keys, you want to explain the obvious for your students that once they go in and redeem the key and they have created a user account and they created a username and a password, the next time they log in, they want to use that username and password to log in, only use the key once. For course assignments, you are billed when the key is redeemed. So once that course assignment is created, it comes up as a billable event for us. But you can cancel a course assignment. Let's take a look at that. Here we are on a course assignment page for a student, and this works whether a student redeemed a key or you created the course assignment yourself manually. The course assignment has two parameters to allow you to cancel it. One is that none of the labs have been launched. So if a lab's been launched, it's not going to be an option for you to cancel any longer. And the other thing is that it has to have been created within the last 24 hours. So once it goes past 24 hours, you won't be able to cancel it either. So when I go in and edit, I have the status field is open to me to change. It's active. I can change it to canceled. It's that simple. Then I just go and save the course assignment and it's like done. It is no longer valid and your billing is removed. Yay. One last thing I wanted to show everyone is that you can find the expiration and the ends of access for your users. So for a course, you can go to Find Courses, and from here you can add output options for post-class lab availability and maximum course assignment length. So you can look here and you can see how long a course is available after a class has been created. Some are not. Some are 10 days, some are 180 days, and a course assignment as well. If a course assignment is what you're working with, you may want to go in and take a look at how long, what the maximum course assignment length is in days. So normally they're 180, but sometimes we have things set a little bit differently. You can also do this from classes. So if you're looking at classes and you can go to post-class lab access. Again, you're going to add an output option for way down here at the bottom, post-class lab access. You'll hit search again and it will show you when that access ends for each class that it was available to. We can do this in course assignments by looking for the expiration, which I think is automatically added. And you can look at the expiration date to see how long a user has access to that course assignment. With subscription assignments, you can also look at how long they have access to their subscriptions by adding the expiration and looking at that. And again, each time they create a course or start a course, it's going to be a course assignment. So you would look under here to see how long they have on the Find Course Assignments to see how long they have access to a specific course assignment. For resources for your training for this webinar, I have a document that's been created in our help files, and it's the training key basics, and it's all the chart and things that we covered in terms of on the slides in this webinar. Thank you for joining us for the webinar, and we hope to see you again at another one soon.